The Stockton Ferry links Newcastle's central business district at Queens Wharf with the suburb of Stockton on the north side of the Hunter Estuary. Covering a distance of just 600 metres, it is the shortest ferry route in New South Wales, with a single trip across the river taking only 5 minutes. That's shorter than this film. Today, the Stockton Ferry is Newcastle's only ferry service, but during the 19th and 20th centuries there were multiple ferries running around the port of Newcastle, including a car ferry service to Stockton from Market Street quite close to Queens Wharf. However, the opening of the Stockton Bridge further upriver in 1971 circumvented the need for most of these ferry services, and as a result, they ceased. The Stockton Ferry kept running until it was finally discontinued in 1982, only to be revived the next year by the state-owned Newcastle Buses and Ferries. In July 2017, this was sold to Newcastle Transport, who operate the service today. As the Stockton Ferry's route crosses the entrance to one of the busiest ports in Australia, Shortland and Hunter are far from the only boats to be seen. Today, we have AAL Singapore from Monrovia entering the port, assisted by Port of Newcastle's tugboats. Two vessels from prior to the suspension, Edith Walter and West Head, operated the service from its revival in 1983 until 1986, when the present vessels arrived. These vessels are Shortland and Hunter, and were built here in Newcastle by Carrington Slipways. 2 years earlier, the same company had built the first fleet class of ferries for Sydney Harbour, and the Stockton ferries were based on this design. The main difference between the Newcastle ferries and the First Fleeters is that Shortland and Hunter have one deck, whilst the First Fleeters have two. This is Golden Grove at Barangaroo. We now arrive at Stockton, which is known by the Worimi Aboriginal Australians as Burrunbingan. In 1797, the area was christened Pirate Point, owing to the convicts who wrecked the ship Norfolk on the northern peninsula. Today, said peninsula retains the name. I couldn't figure out where the name Stockton came from, but there's a couple of other tidbits. Answers in the comments, if you know, please. Around 5 to 10 minutes is allowed at Stockton for boarding and disembarking to take place before we return to Queens Wharf. As you might be aware, the name of Newcastle is borrowed from Newcastle upon Tyne in northern England, both cities being coal ports on major rivers. The Australian settlement was first named as such in 1804 and is now the state's second largest city. After Sydney, of course. Hunter, the boat, is named from John Hunter, the second governor of New South Wales from 1795 to 1800, after whom the river and the valley are also named. The river was given this name by John Shortland in 1797 when he passed through in pursuit of some runaway convicts. It is after John Shortland that MV Shortland is named. Prior to 1797, the river had been simply known as the Coal River, or, by its indigenous name, Cocoon. Outside of peak hours, the Stockton Ferry service operates every 20 minutes, allowing it to be run by one vessel. which on 24th of January 2023 was Shortland. In peak periods, the service is increased to every 15 minutes. No services run for a 60-minute period around noon each day to allow the crew a lunch break. Looking towards the Tasman Sea, we can observe Nobby's Head, which sits right at the mouth of the Hunter River. The lighthouse here was built in 1858 and was the third to be constructed in New South Wales. Despite appearing to be a headland, Nobby's Head is actually an island. It was first linked to the mainland by a pier and now by a breakwater, the floral activity on which makes it appear natural. The Arabakal Aboriginal Australian people know this island as Wibegamba. It was also known as Coal Island before adopting its current name. In 2016, Nobby's Head was used as the name for a location on Mars, which was later updated by NASA to add the indigenous name Wibegamba. We complete our round trip back at Queens Wharf, the Queen in question being the late Queen Elizabeth II, who opened the venue and the wharf along with it back in May 1988.